You experience anger in terms of neurology, in terms of your brain, it's only a release, a chemical release of 2 seconds. Why do we do what we do? The truth is, the reason why, for those who have an explosive anger style, the reason why we do that is we've never been taught to properly deal with irritation. So we talk a lot today in this world about tolerance. And tolerance almost feels like you're trying to squash all your anger into a box constantly. Like you're trying to get this and squeeze it in and you can't quite shut it. We're constantly trying to suppress, we're constantly trying to squeeze, constantly trying to push it away. But at one point it all has to come out and it explodes, erupts like a volcano, hence the term explosive.
But as a leader, if you don't show any emotions at all, no one's gonna follow you. There's no connection between you and the people on your team. And if you just sit there and think about people that you've worked for that didn't show emotions, you had no connection with them, you don't care about them, you'll leave, you won't go the extra mile to get the job done. So you have to show emotions. But of course, there are many times in life, in the world, where showing your emotions are going to have a negative impact on your situation. You give up the takedown. There are many times where you have to learn to control your emotions. And as kids, if you learn to control your emotions, it's going to be beneficial for you in many ways. But flying off the handle and losing your temper almost never does you any good. So yeah, you have to be balanced. In order to be balanced, you have to be in control. And in order to be in control, you have to detach from your emotions so you can control your emotions and not let your emotions control you.
About how to really deal with explosive anger at the root. Explosive anger comes because we're constantly suppressing little things that annoy us because we think that we can just let them go. And we think that if we bring up these little things, someone's going to get really annoyed at us. How many of you worry that if you brought up these little things that are annoying you, it will really annoy your partner or your colleague or whatever it is? So one of the best ways to do this is actually to write it down. When we write things down, we have to articulate things better. If you imagine, if you had to send a tweet, 140 characters, the amount of energy that goes into articulating 140 characters takes much more effort than articulating 1,400 words. So what I'd like you to do is when you're feeling that moments of tolerance being tested or there's agitation or that frustration, it's writing it down and articulating it in 140 characters about how you actually feel. And then kind of analyzing that statement and trying to get all of your feelings out on paper where you're almost reconciling how you feel without having to share it with that person. So our biggest fear with explosive anger is that we don't want to annoy someone, we don't want to ruin our relationship. But the problem is when you keep in your mind, you stop yourself from reconciling. So you're already suppressing and boxing in your mind. Why not open up and reconcile on paper, writing it down? And what you'll notice is that you'll be able to write it down, explain it, and express it in a way that allows you to deal with it rather than squashing it into the box. Anger allows us to tailor the solution better. So I asked you, first of all, to look at it from an objective point of view. Think about how you would assess responsibility of that challenge rather than taking out the anger on yourself. Check that with someone who is more objective in the situation, with a mentor, a guide, a teacher, a person, whatever it may be, and then go back and talk to someone by accepting certain responsibility. Actually being on that end where you accept responsibility is a great place to start because you're accepting that you are too involved in the challenge being caused. When you only think it's the other person, that's danger zone, right? That's trouble zone. So actually being able to assess and ascribe responsibility to you and the other person is a great place to start. Anger clouds judgment. You know, it is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. It's like holding a hot piece of coal, wanting to chuck it at someone but burning ourselves. Just remembering that holding on to anger is not great for us allows us to start wanting to find remedies and wanting to find the cure. So it's really important to remember that anger will cloud our judgment